record for you guys. Okay, so we are talking day 2 of stories. So just kind of filling you guys in on all the different features of stories. So let me get my stories pulled up here. Last week, I know, Joy, we touched on putting in polls into your stories and like how often to do that with like call to actions and things like that. So if any of you guys missed, I think you guys were all on, but if anybody who's watching the recording missed last week's, definitely watch that one first before this one. This is just like the addition to that. So I'm just going to take you guys through. I have my phone. If you're on your computer for Zoom, that's best so that you guys can play around with them too if you want to. But just some of the features of stories. The first one I'll kind of pick up where we left off was with polls. So putting a poll into your stories. Definitely, I would try to have a poll in your stories at least once a day or some sort of interactive feature, whether it's a poll or, let me just take a picture of something. So again, if you swipe up, or you can hit the little sticker guy here to bring that up. There's a couple different things you can do for interaction. So there's a poll, and then questions we've seen, where you can ask me a question, you can type your own question in there. And I know a lot of times, I can't remember who asked me, but you can answer your own questions on here. So if you say, ask me a question, like sometimes you'll see other coaches do like, you know, I'm at the airport all day or I'm not doing anything all day, so like ask me anything type of thing, and then they go and like respond to those. You can ask yourself questions that you know people would be interested in hearing the answers to, or it's another way for you to get information out. So you could ask yourself questions about your boot camp. You could ask yourself questions about anything, like if you've been talking about your husband for a while or your kids or your pets or whatever it is. You can ask yourself anything and then respond to it to show that you're getting interaction on your social media. That helps to make people feel comfortable answering your questions. Because if they don't see that you're sharing questions, they're not going to want to be the first one to answer or ask you a question. So they want to know that other people are doing this too and that they're not the only ones talking to you. So definitely making them feel comfortable by asking yourself a question. It's kind of a weird thing to do, or you can ask some of us and be like, hey, like we like post in the coaching pages and like, hey, I just, you know, put a question on my thing. Can you guys go ask me questions? Like I would be happy to jump on your stories and ask you a question. So again, so the interaction one's the poll, which I think most of us have seen. So you can type, Joy mentioned, like always give positive responses. So if it's about a boot camp or like no matter what it's about, always have positive responses to them. So don't ever say like yes and no, unless it's like, should I buy this? Then it can be like yes or no. But if it's like about your boot camp or wanting information, don't say like, yes, send me info and like, no, because you don't ever want anybody to click no. And most people wouldn't click that anyways, but you want to give them two options. And so one would be, if you're talking about boot camps or even coaching, a good one would be like, yes, send me info, or like, you know, like yes with a bunch of exclamation points or like a thumbs up or something. And then the other one could be like a hesitant one, like I'm curious about it, or I mean, you can even do the same option on both of them. Like, yes, send me info. Yes, send me info. Like, so they don't have a choice. Like, if they're going to click an option, it's going to be yes, send me info. So you can play around with it and have fun, but make sure they're always like positive. So you can use them for call to actions, for coaching, for boot camps. You can also use it for like choosing things. I don't know who saw my stories the other day, but I just did some interactions with our nursery and getting some things like picked out for our nursery. And I used this to say like, should I get this end table or this end table? And then I just put like A or B, or you could, you know, say pink or white or whatever your options are to choose from. So you can always edit that. One thing with the poll, it does say ask a question like up here, and you can type on that, but you can also leave that top part blank and you can write in your own font. So like if I were to type a question in like the ask me a question part, it's only going to allow me to do that one font, where if I just like delete it and don't put a question there, I could put like yes and no in my two things, but then when I click out of it, you'll notice, it's kind of hard to see, but you'll notice there's no question there. So I could move this to where I want it and then type with what like Joy showed us last week, using the different fonts, like use the style that you've been using to create your brand and your theme. So you could say like which one, and I'm just typing this like in my own font, whichever one I want to use. You could use the ones where you can highlight the background and then click out of it and then just move that right above the question, so that now you have your own, like it doesn't have to use that one specific font that comes with the poll option. You can choose whichever font you want just by typing your own words and then like pairing it with that. All right. So that was polls, that was questions. So those are two interaction ones. Chat is a new interaction one, and Joy, I have never used it before, but I have seen that you have. Do you know how this one works?
Yeah, so it's really easy. You just basically type the join chat so they can see that like in your story. And I think it just prompts them like if they want to join, and it'll give you a little message that they want to join, and then you can add them into the chat and they'll like respond to it. I've done it a couple times on like some of my devotional stories where I like want people's input, like just their opinion of, you know, what my devotional said or whatever. So not a lot of people do that one just because they actually have to talk through stuff, but well, at least on mine. But yeah, it's just another good little feature to play around with.
So does it send them to your messenger then? Like are you in like
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
messaging?
and like you have to accept them into the chat. Like just because they want to join it doesn't mean they're automatically gonna start like responding in the chat. So like you have to accept it. Cause like I had a couple guys that were wanting to join the chat and I was like, no. So I just deleted them from it. So you like accept them in and then you can see like their message or whatever.
So it's basically like a group message.
Yeah.
Anybody who clicks it. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's just like a group message.
So that's another like interaction one that you guys can use. And that was like a good idea like for devotionals. Probably starting, especially because this is like a new feature for stories, people probably don't know how to use it yet. Doing things that are more personal and that don't maybe have as much to do with like Beachbody stuff, coaching stuff, just getting them familiar with using that. If that's something that you guys are going to be using, like definitely start with something easy for them to respond to and something that they would want to have a conversation about before you start throwing that stuff in. But so that was polls, questions, and then that was the chat. And then the other interaction feature is the quiz that you can do. And the quiz option, this allows you to give more than one or more than two. Like a poll, you can only choose like A or B. But with the quiz, you can do like A, B, or C, or A, B, C, D. You have to choose like a correct answer. So I'll show you guys my example from my stories the other day. I think it was yesterday with the nursery. And so you basically just give them, I'm just typing in some responses, A, B, C, D. So you just type in like whatever you want those four things to be. You have your topic up top, like your question. It says, this one, the example they give you says, guess my favorite. And then you could say like, guess my favorite ice cream, and then give them four options of different flavors of ice cream, and they have to try to guess. When they click, or when you are creating your answers, you can choose which one is the correct answer. That's the highlighted in green. And then when you click done, You can make it bigger, smaller, turn it however you want. And then when they click on it, it's going to show them, just like the polls where it shows like what percentage chose them. It's going to show like which answer was the correct answer, so they can see if they got it right or wrong. Now, I still used this feature even though there wasn't really a right answer. It's going to show them that there's a right answer. There's no way to get around that, but I still used it in my stories for like which I think it was like which ottoman should I get for my nursery, because there was like 3 or 4 that I was like debating between. So I gave those different options, and then I just chose one of them as like the correct answer. So you can do this one. This also, there's like a little dice at the bottom, and this can give you different prompts if you like don't know what to do in your stories. So when I just hit that little dice, it gives me a prompt, and it says, that's funny because it says, guess my favorite ice cream. And then if I roll the dice again, it says, what makes me happiest? And then you would just type in 4 different responses and select your correct answer. What would I name my pet turtle? Like, there's just random questions that pop up for you, and you can just keep hitting them until you find something you want to ask your people if you can't come up with anything and you haven't done an interaction in a while. Those are really good ones, especially for your viewers to get to know who you are. Starting as newer coaches and building your following, you want the people that are already following to really get to know you. They're going to feel like they know who you are.
Scream.
All right.
Or dancing.
Okay, so polls, questions, chats, quiz. Another type of interaction one is like the sliding scale like bar thing. You can change the emoji on it, so it's like the heart eyes like default. But if you scroll, you can also hit the plus and change it to whatever emoji you want to. It doesn't have to be like one of those first 10 that they show you. So it could be anything. Like if you are talking about, like I saw Joy's stories today, she's ready for fall. So if you're talking about fall and you want to know how much your people you're following likes fall, you could choose, I just typed in fall, and then you could choose like a fall emoji for that little sliding scale, and then just say like, who's ready for fall? Same with this one. You don't actually have to type anything in where it says ask a question. You can tap out of it and just have that sliding scale. It's going to prompt them when they get to this story. It's going to do like the little fake slide and then go back so they know that they can slide that. But if you're like talking and you're saying like, who else loves fall, you could put this on here so that they can slide it when they get to that story. So that's just a good one to kind of like gauge. I feel like most times I use it, and anybody else who's used it before, maybe you can agree to this. I just feel like everybody always does like all the way, which is totally fine, but it's a tool that you can then use to message them. It's a way that you are connecting with the people that are following you, and it's a way that you can start conversations with them. Like, hey, I saw that you loved fall too. Like, thanks for following along on my journey and whatever. And like, ask them a question like, what's your favorite part of fall? So you can respond to those that way. And they're great ways. All of those interaction tools are really great ways for you to be able to reach out to them and have something to start talking about. Because sometimes it's hard to find something like, well, what do I say to this person? How do I build a connection? How do I get to know this person better? If you do these interactions in your stories, they're going to start interacting, and now you have something that you can talk to them on. Even if it's something you don't have in common, like they hate fall and you love fall, like you can message them about that and be like, I saw you didn't like fall at all. Like, what's your favorite season? Like, I'm obsessed with fall. I love everything fall. And you guys can just start having a conversation that way. I think, did we talk about GIFs or GIFs last time? No? Okay, so there is like the GIF or GIF, however you say that, option you can click to search for them, and it's just like the sparkling things. I don't typically click on that one because when you're back on the main screen, you can just search and that's just where I normally search. So if I want to find like happy, I just type happy. And then if you scroll past the emojis, it takes you right to those dancing, moving GIFs or GIFs or whatever. So I don't usually click on that button. I usually just use this search bar, and anything that I'm talking about, I'll search for. I'll search for camping, I'll search for happy, I'll search for frustrated, anything, and then you can find all those cute little like moving things. Okay, the next thing is hashtags and locations. You should always put hashtags and locations in your stories, and I tell you that, and I don't even do it. But I know that I should. So always put hashtags and tag locations in your stories. That's just another way for your stories to get put into the hashtags and into the locations. So just another way for people to find you and to follow you. So just always getting yourself out there. I know sometimes it's like not like the first thing you think of when you're going to post a story. I know I'm personally more concerned with typing my words and making sure that's all good, that I forget to put a location or a hashtag on there. But I have been hashtagging a lot of like pregnancy things, like 30 weeks pregnant, 29 weeks pregnant, third trimester, like third trimester workout. If it's my workout video, just hashtagging anything that clip is related to, it's going to show up in that hashtag. So if I search like the hashtag 30 weeks pregnant and I go to that hashtag, there's like these are like the posts that have 30 weeks pregnant, but then also the stories up here. These are anybody who have tagged, oh, there was me, that have tagged 30 weeks pregnant. So anybody who goes to or is following this hashtag is going to see my stuff. And if they're like, oh, what is that workout that she's doing? They're going to click my name, wherever it is. And they're going to go to me. They're going to look up my name, and then they might follow me if they like what they see.
I have a little hack for that.
Yes.
Two things. So when you are doing hashtags, a really good thing to pair your hashtags with is polls, because then, like I do this a lot on my recipes. So instead of just giving them the recipe, I will show them, the luscious, amazing, scrumptious meal. And then the next slide will be, would this recipe interest you, or do you want this recipe? And then put a hashtag, and actually you can talk about how to make it, not visible, but put a hashtag in that story. That way, if they click your poll, yes, I want this recipe, you automatically have another contact. I've gotten so many people that I can contact that way, because everybody wants a free recipe, or, it doesn't have to be a recipe. It can be anything free that you want to give somebody, because you can go straight from your poll and message that person. You don't have to be friends with them on Instagram. You can message them straight from that poll and start a conversation with them. So that's a little hack. And then the other thing I was going to say, I lost it. Something about recipes. Anytime you do a recipe in your stories, or a food thing, always tag something in your hashtags. Like today, I was doing my meal prep late, so I put hashtag easy meal prep, because I feel like that's something that people look up all the time randomly, like just for ideas. And if they see your name, go to your page, like your style, then that might be another person that can follow you. So.
For sure. Okay, so for hashtags on your actual stories, I just took a picture of our call right now. And to put a hashtag, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can swipe up and go back to that main screen, and you can select hashtag, and then you can type your hashtag, like hashtag team call. Okay, so I just typed in hashtag team call. And then when it gives you other like options down here if you want to choose from some like that are related to that, but you don't have to. You can just click done, and then now you have your hashtag. With this one, you have a couple options. It's like a pinkish orange color to begin with, but if you tap it, it will turn clear. and then tap it again, and then there's rainbow. So you can choose any of those to use, unless I don't know, I think it's rare that I would show my hashtags, unless it's like my pregnancy ones. I've been showing those, but also because I'm talking about being pregnant in those. But if you want to hashtag something, but you don't want it to be seen, you like don't want this giant thing on here, you can take it and make it super small just by pinching it. And now it's super, super tiny, but I can still see it. You can continue making it smaller till you can barely see it at all. But you can also take it and drag it to somewhere that's like white. Like right here is white. So if I put it on top of that, oops, move it over a little bit, now you can't even see it. So if I always try to hide it in something that's like the same color as what I'm trying to hide. And usually it's a hashtag, so usually it's just white. So just hide it in anything that's white. So make it really small by pinching it and then hide it in something that's that color. Another way to do a hashtag is you can just type, just by clicking the screen or clicking that A to type, and you can just type your hashtag. So I don't know if it'll show you guys. So I'm just on my keyboard and I'm just typing hashtag team call. Again, it gives you the options down at the bottom. So you can select from those, or you don't have to. You can just leave it as hashtag team call and then click done. And then there's my hashtag. With this option, there's no background to it, so you don't have that box around it. And you can make this your style, your brand, like we talked about last week with the different fonts. So you can choose and select which font you want to use. And then you can put like a background behind that. Like you can highlight it like we talked about last week, change the color that's behind it, if it's something that you want to show. Otherwise, again, if you click out of it or click done, same thing applies. You can pinch it and make it super, super tiny and then just hide it in the white. So that's for like hashtags. The same thing applies for locations. If you're gonna tag a location, I always pinch them and make them super tiny and don't show them unless I'm somewhere like not in my hometown. Like if I'm on vacation, I'm gonna tag that location, but I might keep it showing in like the bottom corner, so that people know where I am, or like that I'm in Florida, that I'm on vacation, because I'm obviously talking about it. So those are sometimes that I would leave it, but I would never tag like Crystal Lake where I live and like leave Crystal Lake right up on there. I would always make that tiny and hide it. And so to get to that, you go back to that main screen. So swiping up, and then one of those options, the first one is location. And then it's gonna bring up like a search thing. It's gonna bring up your closest ones to you, but you can also search locations. You don't have to tag the city that you're in. You don't have to tag the restaurant that you're at. You can tag, like I'm in Crystal Lake, but that's like a smaller town. I mean, it's not small, but nobody really knows where Crystal Lake is, but everybody knows Chicago. And people know like the big suburbs of Chicago. So for us out here, we all know towns like Schaumburg and Hoffman Estates and Arlington Heights. Like those are really big suburbs of Chicago, or even tagging a neighborhood of Chicago. So I could just search that and then select that. So I'll do like Schaumburg is a really big one. And those might be like the type of people that live in Schaumburg might be like the type of people I want on my team. So I would tag that. Again, same thing. You can select and like tap it. It's going to make it clear, and then it's going to, clear, and then make it rainbow. So you have a couple different options. There's no way to tag a location without using that location feature though. So like hashtag, where you can type hashtag and then your hashtag, you have to select that location feature. And then again, I just make it super tiny and then hide that off in the white. So then when people are following that location or go check that location in the stories, it's gonna show your story. Okay, so that's it for those two. Do you have anything else on those, Joy?
We're at 8:12, so I do have one thing that I thought might be helpful. Showing them how to post their post to their stories.
Okay. Yes.
And then I have a question for you after you show them that.
Okay. I'm going to try to go quickly through this because I want to show one more thing too. So if you're on your regular Instagram, so this is just my feed, and you go to, and you just posted a post, or even yesterday you posted something that you want to get out there and share more and you want more people to come to it, or it's something that you just talked about in your stories and you want to include that post. If you go to your feed, and you go to like whichever post it is that you want to share, like transformation pictures are good ones to share. So if I want to share this one to my stories and I want this to pop up in my stories, there's a little send button. It's a little like folded piece of paper, like a paper airplane. If I click that under my picture, it's going to let me send it to people if I want to. I don't ever send it to people. But it says add post to your story. That's the first option. So if I click add post to your story, it's going to pop up in my stories. Now I have a couple options. I can tap that picture and it shows like the first line of my caption. So if your first line is really good and it's like a hook, then I would show that. If not, just leave it blank so that they can't see what your post was. Mine said one habit at a time, one workout at a time. Might be something I want to leave up there, might not be. But then I wouldn't just leave it like this. I would put something over top of that so that they have to click on it in order to go to that post. So you could put anything over it. You could go to your features here and type like new post. And then you could select like any of these little GIFs. So if I select this one and then I make it big.
The tap here one, like if you do the new post or if you type in tap here, they'll give you a GIF that says tap here. That way they know they can click on it and it'll go straight to that post.
Yeah, they also have under tap here like a little mouse that's clicking on it. So it shows that it's clicking on that post. Like she said, you could do tap here, make that really big so they know to click on that. You could type like a little preview like, do you need motivation? Or anything like that, whatever your post is about. Give them a little hook so that they know to click on it from your stories. It will take them right to your post. So I'll do that really quick. So I just posted it to my story. I'm going to go back to my stories here. Just me talking. So this is what I just posted. If I click that, it's going to say see post. So when people tap that, they're going to click see post and it takes them right to my post. So now they can like it, they can comment on it, but it's basically linking those two things together. Now I'm going to delete that. Okay, so that's linking those things. And the last thing real quick, if you did a poll that was like you did a poll yesterday and you forgot to go check who responded to that, and you're like, oh shoot, like I wanted to message those people, I asked if they wanted information and they commented on it, but they liked it or selected an option, but I forgot to check those people. Now it's gone forever because it's gone after 24 hours. That's not true. If you go to your profile and then you swipe over, swipe over, just kidding, it won't let me. Come on. If you swipe over like up here, or I think if you click those little 3 bars, it'll take you to those options, like your settings and everything like that. One of them is archive. If you click that top one, that's archive, it takes you to your stories, your old stories, and anything that you have archived. So there's a drop-down box up here. You can do search by your stories or by your posts. I always keep it on stories, and these are all of the stories that I have ever done on Instagram. So I could keep going back and back and back, and this is where I can see all those responses. So that one from yesterday from my nursery, that's off my stories now, so I can't see who responded. But if I go to my archive here, I can view, this is the quiz one. Now I can see down here at the bottom, oops, seen by 400 or however many. And then now I can see how many people chose each option. So that's how you get to your old ones. So again, your profile, those 3 bars, those 3 bars, and then archive at the top. And that's going to show you all your old stories. So you can go back and you can view those people or whoever responded to those.
Okay. We have a question about music.
Music. Okay, so there's different ways to add music. You can add them from an outside app, which maybe we can give options or go over some apps like later. But for the music feature in your stories, if you take a picture or if you do like a video and you swipe up, it says music. You can search by music. You can search by like the popular ones come up first. The genres come up. You can search by mood, like if you're a happy video, a sad video, whatever you want it to be, upbeat. So you choose a song. Okay, so I just chose a song. You can, I'm just gonna turn the volume all the way off. You can slide this over so you can choose what part of the song you want to play. And it's showing you the lyrics so that you can read it as well. And then now the new thing is you have different options with these. You can either have this little tag showing what song is playing, which again, you can make really, really small and hide. You can do like the cover photo of the album. You can do the text, so it'll like read the lyrics like on your screen as the song is playing. And there's just different options for those like lyrics. So if I did the lyric one and I hit done, while it's playing, it's just reading the lyrics. So those are options for music. I think they do now share to your Facebook stories. So if you have them linked, I think they do now share. I haven't gone on there to check, but it always gives me that option here. So that's music. You can add it from another app, or you can just add it straight from Instagram and then just make them super tiny. Video editing apps for posting workout clips. That one, I use iMovie to put them together because I have an iPhone, so it's free. Joy said Splice is a good one to put videos together. That's free, right? So Splice is another good one. And Splice, you can add music, but I don't think you can add like popular songs, right? I think it's just like,
I just use it to piece my workouts together into one 15-second clip, and then I add my music in Instagram stories after I save it to my phone.
Yep. Any other questions?
I have a question for you, Ashley.
Yes.
Do you know how to, like when I save a post to my stories and then I try to write over top of it, it goes behind the picture. Do you know how to fix that?
Yeah. So mine used to, so let me find a post to share. Okay. So I'm going to share this one again. Add to my story. So like this, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if I type words like click here, let me get a big font and make it really big. Okay, so I just typed the words click here. I'll put it in black. You can kind of read it a little bit better. It's very fidgety. So if you move it and you click on and you happen to select the words, it will let you move it. However, if you click the picture and move that, it's now behind it. So the last thing you have to move is this. So I would like put this off to the side, put this where I want it, and then you have to be really, really careful that you don't touch that picture again and accidentally grab it. And then you can take those words and put them back over top.
So annoying.
I know, it's really, really fidgety, and I don't know why, but
I thought maybe I was doing something like there was some kind of trick or something that I didn't know about.
No, but if you accidentally, so like if I put a background on this and then I click done, but then I accidentally click this, then it's like, oh my God, they're now behind it. So now I have to move this out of the way, move this out of the way, put this back where I want it, and then put this over top.
Mhm.
So you can put them on top, but it's just like really fidgety. I've had a few posts erase all my text. Like in stories? Like after you post it?
I've never had that happen. I don't know.
I have once when I went to post it to my stories. Oops. And then like if you're about to post it, like I just took a picture and then like if I typed words or something, I've had it once before where I go to say like add to my stories or something and I'm here and then I'm like, oh no, wait, I wanted to put a hashtag on there. I forgot about that. Let me go back. And then sometimes it'll disappear from there, but I've never had it disappear like after I post it. So I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe like deleting Instagram and re-downloading. See if that works. That's like my only ever delete it and re-download. Any other questions? We have like a minute until Zoom cuts us off. Okay, well, let me take a quick picture. So everybody smile. Perfect. Okay, any other questions, you guys? If you have other specific questions, like you can just reach out to Joy or I during the next week or so. Our next meeting is next Monday for our team call, and it's on inviting, and that's by Joy. Yes? Awesome. So we'll go over inviting through stories, liking page, liking content, and then motivation. So basically like how to invite if people like your post, comment on it, like how to reach out to them. So we'll give you different tips.
If you're on my team, remember we're doing like a little coffee chat after this. So hop on my Zoom and we'll continue this meeting on my Zoom for my team.
Okay.
Thank you, Ashley. You're awesome.